my name is Jack Hancock, and I'm actually not with an organisation, I'm working independently. So for the last few years, I've been directing a feature-length documentary that aims to promote concern for farmed animals. The narrative structure is actually kind of about my relationship with my father, who's a slaughterhouse worker. And then outside of that, I also make YouTube videos that aim to promote concern for farmed animals and wild animals as well. Yeah, gosh, probably in many different ways. My intuition is to say one of the biggest impacts will just be in community building. That ultimately we need a whole load of people, a huge movement working towards making a better world for animals. And I think having really well organized large conferences like this gives some infrastructure to help build that movement of people. I think it can sound intuitive to say that we should only alleviate the harm that humans cause to wild animals. But it's worth remembering, of course, that is not the position we hold when it comes to human beings. You know, when a human suffers from a natural condition like malaria, of course we think we ought to help. I mean, no one's arguing that we shouldn't distribute malaria nets because we didn't invent the parasite. And I think in reality, whether or not we are the cause of the wild animal suffering might make a difference in terms of how we feel about it, but it certainly doesn't matter to the animal. You know, whether a rock falls from the top of a mountaintop and lands on the deer's leg to break it, or whether a human picks up that rock and throws it at them, it hurts the same. Pain is pain, and I think the morally relevant question is not did we cause it, but rather can we help? And so I think it's a really big misconception that we kind of think that the movement to help wild animals is simply about focusing on the anthropogenic harms, and actually there's a whole lot of suffering out there that isn't caused by humans, and that still matters. When I'm talking about this, I like to give examples of things we've done to help wild animals, like vaccination programs, for example. But the truth is, I'm picking from examples that have been done for anthropocentric reasons. We do these interventions because humans benefit. So it's kind of like slim pickings, and it's not like we're measuring the welfare outcomes of any of these interventions I can give you as examples. I still think it's important to give examples to help with that feeling of hopelessness. I think people find it harder to empathize with wild animals if we don't feel like there's anything we can do. But the truth is, the biggest bottleneck in terms of helping wild animals at scale is a lack of scientific knowledge about the lives of wild animals, what kinds of experiences they're having, and what's actually going on out there. So there isn't really any given intervention that we can advocate for now and say this is definitely going to reduce wild animal suffering. I think the main thing is to help to encourage a kind of academic field building and have more academic research being done on the lives of wild animals and raising awareness, so that when we can make a difference in the future, hopefully, we actually have a will to do so. Perhaps a first step is becoming more aware about the problem of wild animal suffering. I have a YouTube channel, which I'm going to plug, called Human Hancock, where people can go to a wild animal suffering playlist and learn more about the topic there. There's also a really good organisation called Animal Ethics that are creating educational resources. I think the first step is really to kind of educate yourself on what wild animal suffering is, and why it matters. And then outside of that, I think a really easy thing we can start doing if you're part of the animal movement is to raise awareness among the animal movement. I think that even among many animal advocates, the perspective of wild animals suffering and the individual wild animals, and not just the species or the ecosystem, I think that's a perspective that's often missing. So I think just having conversations and raising awareness among other animal advocates is a good place to start.